Our next presenter is Carole-Ann Berlioz. Carole-Ann is co-founder and chief product officer of Sparkling Logic, and this is a well-known decision management platform that people usually recognize for their innovations. And 16 years ago, Carole-Ann and Carlos Serrano Morales, they left FICA when they were in charge of the decision intelligence software, and they started Sparkling Logic. And since then, they successfully serve subject matter experts or business analysts in different industries, and their product usually very intuitive, but at the same time comprehensive and covers different technology. And Carole-Ann has hands-on expertise, and she develops a lot of decision models herself, and usually she is very good simplifying complex issues, and I'm sure we will see today with AI and rules working together. And I also want to tell that Carole-Ann, our not only frequent presenter on all decision camps, she was at the beginning, and she started the decision camp movement. Thank you, Carole-Ann, and it's your turn.
Thank you, Jacob, and thank you everyone for attending last presentation of the day. So hopefully I'll keep your interest because the topic is interesting. It's exciting. I feel like, the excitement I had in the last millennium when I was working my first expert systems for missile guidance systems and things like that. Got me really, really excited. And now I'm feeling that same excitement again with AI. And I'm not saying it because it's the cool thing everybody's talking about, but because I think there is a real shift happening where we're just witnessing that evolution in real time. And that find it very, very exciting. When I look at my slide and my subtitle, I feel like that's very marketing terminology. I usually am very practical. I like to talk about concrete ways to use those kind of technologies. And high-stake leap is not my vocabulary. It's not the way I usually talk about technology. I like to talk about concrete features, capabilities, usage, design, those kind of things. But this time, I think it's real. It's high risk, high reward. That makes me excited and scared at the same time because we've seen the promise of AI going down a long, long time ago, and I'm afraid day to day that's going to happen again. But I see the high rewards that I hope everybody is seeing, which obviously when you turn on the TV, everybody's talking about AI. So I think everybody is seeing it. I just hope we're not going too fast into it, that we're putting all the guardrails and the best practices in place so that we can do it successfully and we can really deliver on this beautiful premise of leveraging AI in the sense of Gen AI, of LLMs and all those technologies assisting with all the different aspects of making decisions. Sorry. So I really want to focus on a specific problem, which is to help us as an industry, as our customers, as a community, author those decisions, author the decision logic, and how much AI can we use to help us with that goal? That's a question we get every day. And I assume all the other vendors and all the users of technology are thinking about it or hearing it day after day. We hear success stories that are really exciting I hear about my best friend Cursor that's generating systems every day, and that's very successful. So I think we're on the right path to delivering on the promise of AI this time around. But at the same time, I'm not sure we're there yet, and that's what I want to talk about in this presentation. What is it that we need to do to realize before we get into it? And this is why I really would like to define two different ways AI can enter our life or evolve into our life. I think AI assistance, AI being the one um, tool to help us, is very real. It's something we use day to day, and even the kids are using it. And anyone on this planet really is using AI in some kind to assist in the realm of decision management. A lot of it has to do with helping us build things. But then there is this vision, this promise of using AI to become the architects of the decision. And that's what I would like to um, explore in this presentation and discuss, because there is this butterfly moment, butterfly in your stomach moment, that it's very exciting. But there is also a risk of AI taking over without being checked out and not necessarily making our decisions better. Let me move to the next slide. So we're going to explore different aspects. I'm going to take you on a journey based on what we see throughout our customer base, all of the customers that are begging for AI, that want to get more and more AI, and that are letting AI do a lot already, but want AI to do a lot more. So we'll talk about the human factor. We'll talk about whether or not we can let AI be more autonomous, and what that means and what are the risks associated with it for the quality of our decisions. So we'll spend a fair amount of time talking about what I call the risk of autonomy for AI to um, take more responsibilities in our decision management projects, and what you will do to the business, to the industries that are using it. So I think this is where the meat of the presentation is going to be, and talking about where we can go from there. Where's the technology at? But also what we need to put in place to be successful in the future. So what I'm calling the typical AI journey is the way I see customers or users of the technology that want to use AI. I mean, it has been quite a few years already that we added AI assistance into our product. It was 3 years ago, 2023, we had the first iteration of it. And I think clients evolved at the same pace, seeing, oh, there is this cool tool where we can ask questions and they can write rules for me. So I can tell you what I want, and the AI assistant can read the documentation, can understand sometimes the broken English, um, and put together a best recommendation for creating the assets. And that's what I would call the month one. So that's not an exact timeline, obviously. It's just figurative of not why our users want to use it, but how they have been using it during those few years. And comprehending that AI can be used to create assets, create a rule, create a table, create a tree, create modify decision flow. All of that makes a lot of sense, and there's not a lot of risk associated with asking AI to do it because you're going to see what it is and you'll be able to test it. So I think that was baby steps for the AI journey. Comes a little bit more familiarity with the technology and the ability to do more, not just writing the rules, but understanding more of the context. My example here is for creating test data. Test data was obviously one of the first few things that AI assistants were able to do, but understanding the logic enough to create interesting test cases is an evolution. It's making it better, more interesting for the users so that we can test more of the edge cases. We can do more interesting things, let's say. But we can use the AI assistant around the rules. Explain to me what you're doing. Explain to me what I could do better. Give me some visibility at a higher level than just putting the Legos together to build a piece of the decision. I think that was another safe step because as a human, we're still in control, we're still driving, we're just asking for AI to really assist, to really help make our decision management system. Then comes our step 3. And this is the one that I think is the dangerous step, that is high risk, high reward, if we do it right, which is to ask AI to put together the whole system. Can you do end-to-end authoring of a decision? Can you create anti-money laundering system? That's very open-ended. And but that would be cool. I mean, that was the vision, wasn't it? Back several decades ago when we thought the systems were going to rebuild themselves. That was the idea. It will say, oh, I know how to do a fraud system. Don't worry about it. I got it. But I think this is the one that is high risk because the system is going to be only as good as your prompt, if you will. It will be just as good as the information we'll get together. So I think we need to understand what's the difference between AI being an assistant, being a navigator, giving you directions, or telling you if you're, shifting from your lane in your car, versus AI becoming the driver and the human becoming the assistant of the driver. I think the human in that picture really needs to remain involved and not being the one that is making the check. So when these evolutions happens between step 2 and step 3, when the AI is kicking you out of the steering wheel and wants to take the driver's seat in the project, the human, us, we need to really be doing more than just checking. We need to provide the guidance and be the teacher in the car, being able to say, this is what I want, and I want you to do it. So this is the part that I think is critical into the success of this evolution to the AI being more than just an assistant. So the difference, the way I would define those definitions, will be to really make a distinction between those two roles. Two modes, one system. Um, if you're addicted um, to outer banks, I will call it two tribes, one island, being really two different, completely different personalities that are sharing the real estate of AI, of what can be done using the technology. So the AI assistant, to define it a little bit more specifically, is the one that helps you, um, that will take the comments and build things. So the Gen AI, obviously, being able to explain what the rules does, can answer questions around those. Like we said, being able to create, put together the Lego pieces, read the documentation, maybe understand the industry, having access to your own company knowledge through the data that is exposed to it, maybe having exposure to the outside world uh, as it is, being able to create the one rule, create the one table, create your decision flow, but being the one bringing back the work and asking you to commit it and to approve it before things get added to the project. So the human is really the one driving in that use case, and the errors, because AI is not going to be perfect all the time. It will understand what you will understand, and if you try to, if you have tried to have a conversation with an AI system, you know that they don't always understand what you really mean. So there will be errors, but you will be limited to that one rule, one table, one tree, one decision flow, and that's it. If you move to this AI decision architect, the consequences will be higher, because then you give the entire authoring keys to that AI so that it can build with very little guidance, build my fraud system. And what is it going to know about your fraud rules? What is it going to know about compliance rules? Those will be the questions we need to ponder. the One of the challenges, to get a little bit ahead of the presentation, will be about the role of the human and how much the human will have the opportunity to have control. I think the ability to have control exists, but is there going to be a willingness to want to remain in control? And I think that's the part of the challenge. The high risk is on both sides. On one end, there is a high risk that the system is not going to perform like you want it to perform. And there is a high risk for us in the industry that there will be a, um, a disappointment with what the technology is capable of doing, and another winter of AI. So it's in our best interest collectively to be able to go through this transition the right way. And I'm very optimistic listening to some of the presentations this morning that I think we're thinking about it collectively in the right way. I love um, a quote from the presentation this morning saying that, coding was not just coding, it got replaced with software engineering. It's the same thing. It's AI is not going to be just a better AI or something like that, but we need to figure out how to do the engineering around AI so that we leverage it the right way. It's just a tool, it's not a conscience. So back to our human. The human has a critical role into the building of the systems. And when we talk about Gen AI, of our decision management projects, it's really starting from requirements being written down and the fact that knowing the requirements, I can write the rule. I'll tell you I want an eligibility rule that is going to take into consideration location, age, etc., all of those criteria. But how do you collect those requirements? Are you going to let AI take over the requirement elicitation, or is the human still going to be in charge of it? And I think this is one of the areas that is the most sensitive, where we need the human to have the most control. That's the critical piece. The challenges with AI being able to go and replace the human completely for this phase is that the knowledge is not always written down. The knowledge is not always readily available. You don't ask a 20-year-old, a young underwriter, that might be first in class, that might be the valedictorian of the university of underwriting, to be your expert. That guy or that girl might be extremely smart, extremely well educated about the theory of actuaries and all of that, but they don't necessarily have all of the experience and the knowledge that the humans have. Not everything is written in books. Not everything is written somewhere. So you need to bring this critical thinking that you acquire with experience to be able to challenge what is not written down, what is not already captured into books or websites or SharePoints or any kind of materials that the AI will be leveraging. Some other challenges is that I want to say that requirements are political, not political in, that kind of political, but political within the enterprise. You have different groups with different objectives. The compliance group is all about regulations. The sales group wants to sell. Each group has a different set of objectives, and collectively they will work together, but individually they're really at odds with each other. And you need to be able to balance and to broker the conversation between those different groups in order to put those requirements together. And all of that may not be written down. There is an example, very simplistic example that we like to joke about in terms of fraud prevention. Typically, fraud prevention is good for the company, but if you let them take over, it might be business prevention because they would not let you use the credit card, or they would not let you do any risky operation. So all of those objectives might be detrimental for the company if they're not balanced and if you don't figure out a way to make them work together. And the AI may not understand that kind of balance that we have more intuition for. Discovering the unknown unknowns is something that the best requirement elicitators will go and probe on scenarios that are not obvious. I've seen so many manuals or sets of requirements coming from customers where they're thinking about just a happy path, but the rules and the gold in your decision logic really lies into the exceptions. How do you deal with those exceptions? How do you go and explore what would we do if. And this is something that the AI that's looking for what is documented is going to miss. So we really need to keep that critical thinking during this requirement phase that I don't think we can let go of. We need to really keep that control. There are also some things that are not written down by design because we don't want them to be in writing for many different reasons. It might be because it's highly competitive or because they could be interpreted the wrong way. So it's better not to have it legally exposed into the systems. So the the risk of letting go this piece in particular is the one that's probably the most challenging. When I hear about my best friend Cursor is building this dashboard or this application or this conversion tool, the requirements are fairly straightforward because it's utilitarian. What it's building is something that is just for a very narrow purpose. Your decision is for running your business. It's it's quite a different ball game. So one thought when I'm thinking about requirements and all this elicitation effort is that the role of the human has to grow in this category. This is where the human needs to be taking a leadership role because you're moving from the navigator and lane assist and other goodies into your car that were just assisting you to a self-driving car. It doesn't mean you just sit in the back and you do nothing. You need to be the one that's guiding. You need to be the FAA tower, if you will, being able to provide that guidance and that those requirements and that critical thinking and that improvement of your decision needs to come in that phase of requirement elicitation. I think this is going to be a very, very important, very growing type of role for the human in that picture. So the risk of autonomy, I think, revolves around the validation. The I do believe, because I'm lazy, I do believe everybody is lazy, that it's in our nature as humans to be lazy. And if we have an opportunity to not do something and the machine can do it for us, we will let it, and we should. This is what we have called progress for humanity. But at the same time, if we become lazy and we do not provide this oversight, we will get into trouble. We will fail in our experiments. So validation is a way to get the machine to check what it's doing, and or if the human wants to be more involved, to be able to analyze the results of the monitoring, the validation, and all of that to correct and to make it better. When you think about AI being used by the students to do the homework, you can tell if there was no guidance at all, or if it was a conversation, if it was iterative, if in the end you got a better product than the student would have been able to do by himself or herself, or whether it was, just garbage in, garbage out from whichever AI tool they were using. So this problem of validation is important. A lot of systems are testing rules individually. I'm just checking if I have this input, is my rule saying yes, or if I have this input, is my rule saying no? And you can check things at a very narrow scope. We really need to fight this tendency of thinking, I've created my test cases, so I asked the AI assistant to create the test cases, and I'm good. And being able to take a higher role, if you will, uh, to minimize the risk of autonomy. The validation, my opinion, needs to happen at a higher level than just, technical input-output type of test, but look at what are the KPIs, what are the key performance indicator, the business performance at a higher level, so that we can keep monitoring at a higher level the quality of what is happening. So none of the risk are things that have no solution or no uh, uh, that are doomed. I think that all of those risks can be mitigated on one end by the technology, and on the other end by the role of the human becoming more interesting, more involved, more aware. Another risk is what we call the explainability deficit. The fact that when you're thinking, when you're writing a rule, you know why you're writing it. Either it is something that you think would be important, that you need to put in place a safeguard because it's a regulation, because of compliance reasons, or because you want to be more precise in the way you assess the risk for the applicants that are going to get a credit card from you, or the level of risk for medical conditions and what you would want to do about it. All of that, when you're writing the rule, you know it. If you ask the tool, the AI, to write the rules for you, it may not know why. It read the document here and the document there and some other information on the web and came up with that as being an interesting rule to add, but not necessarily with a proper explanation or rationale as to why it was added. One of the challenges I have when I have conversations with AI is that it's very sure of itself, and it will tell you as a truth, this is what it is. Um, so if we're lazy and if we let it do what it does, and it tells you this is why I'm writing this rule, and is using completely different or something that sounds proper, that sounds correct enough, we might become lazier and not challenge it because it sounds like it knows what it's talking about. But we do need to challenge where is that coming from, and not just statistically, but having this um, proper rationale that can be documented and that can stand legal challenge. Related to the validation, to some extent, we have this testing explosion. As if you want the AI to be in charge of more and to be more autonomous, building your entire decision, you're going to have to put in place more testing, and there might be a combinatorial explosion of all of these testing that will result from this holistic validation, if that is the path that we want to take. The other risk, just to move a little bit faster on those, will be the accountability question. At the end of the day, who's responsible? Who's accountable? Which are two aspects of the same thing. For writing that decision logic. If you told the system that you need to improve your eligibility rules or your tiering of in different bands of risk or increase the number of bands that you want to consider, you are the human providing the guidance. But if things get done automatically by the AI, um, and you did not have this visibility, you did not challenge what it was proposing, and you give it more autonomy, what happens if you have a bad rate? There could be some legal consequences to making a bad decision, and God forbid, there could be worse consequences, like someone said. Wedding pictures could be destroyed or something like that. So being able to assess this risk properly so that we can anticipate and do something about it is a critical piece. The one aspect that I think is the most ignored with this picture of the AI becoming the decision architect is what it does to your competitive edge. If you are excelling as company A into underwriting, if your underwriting practice is the cutting edge of the industry, and that's your competitive factor. And company B might have a different competitive edge. It might be on the pricing. Maybe they have a price that is more compelling for subprime or for your prime customers. Whatever that differentiator is, what is making you in the industry, what is making you more competitive and more successful. Now, if company A and company B are using AI to be able to put together new underwriting guidelines, new pricing guidelines, what we're doing is actually erasing what is making us competitive, what is making us different. I'm sure that I can ask AI, tell me what do I need to add to my Sparkling Logic Smarts product to make it better? And he's going to look at all the other products and suggest the average of everybody. Everybody is doing that. You should be doing that. And that's what is erasing those differentiations. That is what is actually pushing you into mainstream. And this is what is going against your competitive edge, your ability to create decisions that are more tailored to your markets, that are more tailored to your corporate identity. And I think this is, strangely enough, this is by design, and we do need to fight it in order to be successful. We need to really be conscientious of this tendency that AI will tend to do. And again, the only way to really capture that is to do it upfront as part of your requirement solicitation and figuring out what you want to do so that you can better guide and make sure you continue controlling, being on top of what the AI is suggesting. So don't leave the keys just yet. There are some architecture gaps, if you will, that where the technology falls short or short-ish. I'm not that concerned about what the technology is as to what the decision management system that include AI assistants are capable of doing today, what they will be capable of doing tomorrow, because that's something I'm in charge of, at least. I'm in the driver's seat for Sparkling Logic. We have a team that is really on top of things and trying to guide it, to think about those problems on how do we address the lack of tooling for validation, to think about this holistic validation. In version 1 of our product 15 years ago, 16 years ago, we added this ability to have KPI-driven dashboards for testing. So yes, we can do more, but I think what is lacking more is the fact that the users are not necessarily using all of those capabilities to the fullest. And we need to encourage them to think at a higher level if dashboards and KPIs and end-to-end testing, not just rule testing, but end-to-end decision testing is available. How do we create the best practices so that the business, the users, are going to be able to document their expectations and be able to create a feedback loop so that they will know when the decision starts drifting. Similar thing for the provenance gap. I think everybody has some kind of versioning to know how we evolved. There's some tooling that gets added to the products to auto document. Why did we change? What did we change is the first step. To add comments when you create new versions, new releases, but also why are we making those changes? What are the regulations we're addressing? What are the scenarios that we are trying to address? And how do we get the business to not become lazy about it, thinking there was something written down in the comment box and that's good enough for me, but to really challenge, where is that coming from and is that a good thing for my business? The side effect will be this drift monitoring or what would happen to our competitive edge that gets eroded by the mainstreaming, if I can use that, of the decision. How do we keep the business engaged so that they can pay attention? And again, they can be actively involved and not going on vacation while the AI tool is running the business for them. And this that drives into the incentive misalignment to not build upon the competitive edge of the company. So being able to create enough technical capabilities and keep adding to it. I mean, it's incredible in 3 years how these AI assistants became capable of doing way more than what they could 3 years ago. So the technology is evolving. I think that the business is not necessarily evolving as fast, but they do need that guidance. We do need to figure out the framework to help them think about the right type of problems for a successful adoption of Gen AI as a decision logic author. So I'm not going to tell you what the solutions are for everything because we're all evolving, we're all in a whirlwind, we're all trying to add more and think about the problems as we see them emerging. Unfortunately, none of us, not even AI, knows what we will be confronted to tomorrow. So we have to keep figuring out how do we help the industry evolve and make this leap in still exciting, still frightening way, but at the same time in a safe way to ensure success and to ensure that we can keep evolving to make them even better. So as I said, on the technical side, I'm not too worried because I have a little bit of control, a little bit of input into what we do, at least for my product. I'm able to keep adding as I foresee some tools that can help. But I'm sure there is more we can do in terms of simulation testing or the holistic validation, in terms of explainability, in terms of getting the human in the picture more engaged to actually use those capabilities. But the governments and the organizational readiness questions, to me, are more important to some extent because it's all about best practices. How do we encourage the systems, the practice to figure out how to be more accountable, um, how to capture the audit trail. What was the reasoning? What is the reason I wanted to make a change to my decision? Was that a good reason? Do we want to go into that business? Is that safe? Am I in conflict with the rest of the organization? How do all of those pieces work together for the good of the business? And how do we pick and choose? How do we help our customers pick and choose what makes sense to transition from just an AI assistant to an AI architect? Is there a definition of the type of projects, like those utilitarian projects are no-brainers, obviously, good decision to go there. But are there some type of decisions where it's less risk, or there is a bigger, there's a low-hanging fruit for those type of decisions that we should encourage them to explore this notion of architect, but at the same time educating them on how to handle the governance aspect and keep the control to make them better. I talked too much, but I'm getting to the final slide. So in my opinion, and that's just my opinion, I'm sure we will have our own opinion as to what's the readiness for using AI as a decision logic author, as someone that can write a full decision. I don't believe that we're ready yet. I do foresee that there will be a time where we would have more of that picture figured out so that that will become a reality. But I don't think that we are there to fully go to that point because requirements are difficult. And I've spent, most of my adult life dealing with requirements, trying to understand what did you say? And if, as a person that's capable of reading and talking and hearing, and with numerous meetings to clarify the requirements, it's still difficult. I don't think that making it automated will remove the difficulty. So there's still work to be done. And I think the most exciting work, as I said, is into this elicitation phase and how we can take more control and be doing less of the noodling into the engine, like coding was not the exciting piece. Software engineering is. Same thing. Building the rules. I mean, it still gets me excited. But what is exciting is the bigger picture of how do you make your decision a better decision. And that's how we need to really approach it. So I'd like to start that conversation, and I hope this week is going to be full of those kind of questions on what it is that we want to explore and what it is that we want to educate, share, brainstorm on in terms of guidance and governance. So with that, do we have questions?
Yes. Thank you, Carole-Ann. Please unmute yourself and ask questions.
I have one quick question, if that's all right. I really enjoyed listening to the way you talked about laziness, because I think we're way past laziness and we're sort of in apathy at this point quite often. In order to scale anything, you need to almost reduce it to its lowest level and then sort of incrementally move forward from there. Seems to be, where we're at. And I did wonder whether now that we have a tool which is capable of doing the thinking with us, will we go back and reopen all of those use cases where we decided that the shortest path was the best path and look for ways in which we can add more effort? So, will we in fact go back and put the effort back in to raise the user experience, the customer experience, do you think? Or do you think we will just sort of sink to a new low when it comes to sort of being disengaged from the human experience?
I am usually optimistic.
Good.
I do worry. I mean, this is the whole point of my presentation, is to share my worry. But because I have high expectations, because I think we can do so much more now that we have a tool. I mean, back in the days when we didn't have cars, it would take forever to just go across a small country. Now with cars, we can go further. With planes, we can travel the world. So technology is progress. Technology is enabling us to do things. And yes, we can always misuse it. But I want to believe that we want to do better. And because of that, I think it would be interesting to leverage the capabilities of AI to say, what can I do better? And I've already used that on some projects to say, what am I missing? How can I, what could I do to improve this decision or that decision? And some ideas are like, okay, well, that was stating the obvious, not very helpful. But sometimes there are some ideas that are worth discussing. And this is where, because it will be able to look at more things in general, more decisions as we document them, AI will be able to assist us and say, hey, there is an opportunity there. Why don't you look into it? And not that, it's hard to say who's going to be the master, who's going to be the servant in that picture. But I want to hope we will be the master, and we'll be happy not to have to run across the country. But use those capabilities to go faster and cover more land, discover more countries and more opportunities.
Sounds positive. Thank you.
More questions, please. Okay. Okay, I have to ask another question. Carole-Ann, you, Val, in previous presentation, and your AI architects assumes that human cannot change generated logic, generated rules, and generated decision model, correct?
The AI assistant can or cannot? Sorry,
No, your AI architect will generate a decision model, and human is not supposed to change this model. If you want to make changes, you go back and change your requirements and regenerate everything again. You don't allow human. It's like source code for programmers and objective code. You don't allow programmers to modify objective code. They always modify source code. In your case, in this case, we dealing with requirements as a source for decision model.
I don't think so. I think that, I mean, I don't like models that are too dogmatic because I'm practical. So I would never let an AI tell me I cannot change a rule. I want to be able to change rules. I want to be able to go and I might be smarter. Well, I hope I'm smarter than the AI with, you know, my areas of expertise. And so I will go, and I don't think I should prevent other people from doing it. But I think we need to work collaboratively, that I can ask the AI to improve what I've done, or I can go and improve what the AI has done.
Exactly. So this is a question how to preserve changes made by you and also made by other people. I still afraid I can add another risk to this approach. For example, when you work collaboratively, it's not on source, it's not only requirements or even changes made by human. During, if you generated this Wednesday, next Wednesday you want to add something, but your LLM became smarter. It was another training done by somebody whom you don't know, and it just generates a different model, and you need not only retest everything even automatically, but you cannot trust anymore that is the same logic. And we have to be very careful here.
Absolutely. And this is, you know, part of what I wanted to point to in terms of the provenance and the, you know, understanding why are the changes made, especially those that are deteriorating your decision because it thinks, oh, it's more mainstream to do it this way. Well, you destroyed what my input was. That's about my competitive edge. So you want to have that visibility, this transparency into why are you suggesting those changes? They might be good, but maybe you missed the point.
I assume tomorrow Gary will talk about private LLMs, and he's promising several design patterns to deal with this, if I understand correctly. But we have another question from Telula. In the chat, you can read it, or Telula, say it yourself.
What is the architecture design that you are most proud of building, and why? What made it so special? I'm assuming you're asking about projects that we created, like decision management projects, not products, right?
Yeah, I also think so.
So, I mean, I'm proud of all of them. I don't know. Like I'm proud of all of my children. There are some that are more accomplished than others. I think I was not that I was in charge of the design, just did the implementation of a diagnostic system for missile guidance system back in the days in expert systems. And it will remain something that was magical for me to see all of those parts turning green and yellow and red. Was like Christmas for me. And I was much younger. So, but nowadays, I mean, even the rating system is getting me super exciting. Maybe I'm too excitable. But I think being part of a project where the customer is telling me we've tried many times to replace that old system, always failed, and being part of a successful implementation, a successful replacement, I'm extremely proud of that, and everybody should be in the team.
That's a good answer. Thank you. Okay, we're reaching end of the day. It's almost 3 p.m. and we are on schedule. So I want to thank Carole-Ann for very open presentation and for your warnings about what is good and what is dangerous with new tools. And I want to thank everybody who actively participated today. And we will see all of you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob, for hosting the full day.
Thanks.
Jacob, stop recording.
Yeah, I did.